The New Jersey Department of Community Affairs is inviting the Atlantic City Hispanic community to share their concerns and let their voices be heard. We learn more about this important Latino town hall. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger, Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world, and South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. The New Jersey Department of Community Affairs has opened up an opportunity for the Atlantic City Hispanic community to be heard. Joining me is Rosa Farias. She is the Deputy Executive Director of the Atlantic City Initiatives Project Office to discuss the specific. Rosa, welcome back to Latino Motion. I hope I didn't mess up your last name too
No, that was perfect.
Okay, great. Let's talk about the this Initiative Projects Office.
Yes.
You are initiating a Latino Town Hall, which we're all very excited about and very actively supporting. But tell me about the Initiative Projects Office.
So the Initiatives Project Office was created. It was based out of the transition report that was written by Jim Johnson, who is the special counsel to Governor Murphy. In this report, Jim went through 9 different areas in which Atlantic City can look to transform and look to empower Atlantic City to get it back out of state oversight. And so the function of this office is to facilitate those recommendations that were given in the transition report and to make them come to life. I mean, that really is the bottom line. And
part of that journey has been the town hall meetings, and I know that we held a couple of them. Tell me about the success of those events.
Yes, so in January, we had our first town hall meeting. We had over 500 people show up, and it was no ordinary town hall. We actually facilitated breakout groups where we had citizens of Atlantic City come in and discuss solutions. We made them active participants in how we can turn around different areas ranging from public safety, public health, and we wanted their feedback, and we incorporated that in the implementation plan that followed after the transition report.
So right now you're doing the same thing, but you're going to be doing it in Spanish it's going to be a Latino town hall meeting. Why was it so important that you reached out to the Latino community?
Well, I'm proud to say that it's the first of its kind. We are going to conduct the town hall, but basically translate it in Spanish in real time. The Lieutenant Governor will be in attendance, so will Jim Johnson and other dignitaries to talk about the importance of the transition report, but more importantly, because Atlantic City is roughly 30-some-odd% Latino, and we recognize that while we had great success with the first town hall, we really wanted to also reach out to the other demographics of the city because their feedback is just as important.
And speaking as an Atlantic City resident and as president of the Hispanic Association of Atlantic County, we're all very excited that this is actually happening. The first time really that there's this outreach to the Latino community. So it's important that it takes place.
Yes, no, we're excited, and I I keep on hearing good feedback from folks who are excited that they're being engaged at this level, because we're going to have live translators who will be translating everything, and those workout groups will be in Spanish and will be facilitated by Spanish translators.
And I know we got some translators all lined up, ready to go. Let's just take a step back and talk about why this transition was necessary. For those folks who may not be aware of the fact that Atlanta City was going through a state takeover, sort of, and why this transition is important.
Sure. So roughly around 2015, Atlantic City was facing some fiscal challenges. A lot of it stemmed from some casinos that went bankrupt. And so as the casino industry is a major pillar of economic development and stability for the area, not only just Atlantic City, but for the region, those bankruptcies really destabilized a lot of things in Atlantic City. And unfortunately, for Atlantic City, it also destabilized its property base. And so roughly to the tune of almost 50%. Wow. And so in those instances, the state had to step in to prevent any further deterioration fiscally of the municipality and look to stabilize the economics and the fiscal issues across the board. So the state was forced to. Otherwise, the other option would have been Atlantic City facing a bankruptcy like Detroit, and the state wouldn't allow that to happen.
And the ultimate goal is to stabilize Atlanta City and making sure that the needs of the community are still being met. Is that correct?
Correct. I always say when people ask me about the initiatives office, I always say I'm working myself out of a job. And that's because that's what we're there to do. We're here to empower, we're here to edify and move on. It's not about a permanent situation where we take over something. We believe that the best way to help is to empower. And Jim Johnson, our fearless leader, always has a quote where he says that when change is forced upon a group of people, it's seen as a violent act. But when change incorporates those individuals in their own change, they become active agents, not only of positive change, but they see it as justice. And so
it's pretty impressive, and it's just as impressive that you remember the whole line.
He does, because that's actually how he got me to work for him. So yeah.
We do want to talk a little more about the specifics of the town hall. The Latino town hall is taking place on June the 18th. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Joining me is Rosa Farias. She is the Deputy Executive Director of the Atlanta City Initiatives Project Office, and she's also the Policy Director. And we do want to talk a bit about that other hat. You wear two hats, and but I want to talk more about this Latino Town Hall meeting that's taking place on June the 18th. It's going to be at 5 p.m. at Lady Star of the Sea School. So it's behind the church there in Atlanta City and California Avenue. There's a couple of topics that you're going to want to cover in this event. Tell me about those topics.
So the topics are basically the framework of what's in the transition report. Okay. And so we had to put a planning meeting together. We had key community stakeholders involved and who actually recommended different areas that are specific to the Latino community. One that's kind of different from the original town hall is the issue of immigration. So that's something that's new. We're going to have a breakout group around that and really start the discussion around what are the concerns, what are possible solutions in Atlantic City, what can we do better in helping the community deal with specific issues.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Thank you for taking into account what some of those needs are, because obviously housing and immigration are important topics for the Latino community, particularly in Atlantic City. So how do you set up that day? So it's going to be a Latino town hall. We know we're going to have some speakers, including the Lieutenant Governor, is coming to speak, Sheila Oliver. So how's that day going to flow?
Well, we definitely want to highlight those organizations that are on the ground, who have been in Atlantic City. You know, the whole point of the town hall is not for it to be about the state or the Department of Community Affairs, but really to bring together those individuals who are going to be doing the work. And so it's recognizing them. And then there will be breakout groups. So there will be tables where individuals can pick what topic they want to go sit and talk. There will be a facilitator with a marker and a pad in hand, and there will be 3 to 5 questions that they will ask the table and start the discussion. And the facilitator will write solutions down, write questions down, and then usually that takes a good about hour. Roughly. Sometimes it goes over. At the first town hall, there were so many eager people wanting to participate. 3 hours in, we could, you know, we were still talking. And so it really, I think there's a hunger for it, and I think that it's also good to really involve individuals who know what it looks like from the ground up.
And I think it's important to mention that this will be translated in Spanish, so that, and some of those breakout sessions will probably be mostly in Spanish, which is ideal for folks who normally wouldn't come to these meetings because of that barrier of language. And you will be training some facilitators as well to help manage that. That
is the focus. The whole meeting, or the whole town hall, will be in Spanish. So language will not be a barrier. We will have facilitators who have volunteered their time, who will translate both in English and in Spanish. And we plan to make sure that everyone feels included.
Now, is this going to be a family-friendly atmosphere, or is it auditorium seating? Tell me a little bit about that.
So it'll be in a big venue. We welcome all individuals that want to attend and participate.
And the fact that you're having it at Our Lady Star of the Sea School, which is very familiar to the community, is very centrally located, where the majority of the Latino in Atlantic City lives. What are your expectations of this event?
The expectations is for individuals to feel that their government, that their local government, that their representatives hear them, and that we want to hear their feedback, their voice. That's the expectation, nothing more. We plan on taking that feedback that's given at the meeting, and we plan on putting it together. We come up with a document. We then share that document. We also will be having a feedback form that will be handed out at the venue, so that we're constantly looking at what we can improve, what we can do better. There is a commitment on the table to continue these types of formats. We find that they've been very productive in Atlantic City. I know that the issue of the Census 2020 that's coming up, the issue of the specific around undocumented populations, there might be other events following this once we kind of get a temperature of what the community really wants.
Great.
So, yeah.
So who do you recommend should attend the town hall meeting?
Everyone and anyone who's Latino. I mean, and not actually. I think I've gotten several inquiries from individuals who just want to be a part and want to hear from the Latino community. And it's a breath of fresh air that I know that there's a discussion of perhaps expanding the demographic, whether it's more than just Latinos, maybe the Bangladeshi or Asian community. We're in talks over that. I'm not sure how that would roll out, but there is a consideration for that. And so we will see how this kind of goes with the Latino community.
So we want to talk about next steps, and we're going to take a quick break and go into that direction. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. welcome back to Latino Motion. We'll continue our discussion with Rosa Farias, the Deputy Executive Director of Atlantic City Initiatives Project Office. A lot of titles there. And you're also the Policy Director.
Correct.
Let's talk about that. What is that role?
So as Policy Director, previously actually, before I go into that, I was the Director for Urban Policy for the Senate Majority Office. Okay. And so that's kind of a nod to the work that I did there. Basically what that means is I'm with policy work, you're tying in both locally and statewide policy to make sure that there's a seamless transition and that there's consistency. Also, as a policy director, I'm looking at other cities, other major urbans.
Looking for some of those best practices.
Best practices, absolutely.
And for the town hall meeting that's taking place on June the 18th, obviously you're going to be somehow filtering that information that you get to meet some of the criteria in the plan. How will the community know how that information is being used?
So right now, the Atlantic City Initiatives Project Office has a couple of I call them living, breathing documents. The first one is the transition report, and then there's the implementation plan for year one. And so within that implementation plan, we incorporated data and feedback that we got from the town hall. So prospectively going forward into year two, this data will also be incorporated into how we tailor policy. That's the whole point in capturing that data so that we are being as inclusive and as exclusive to the Atlantic City community as possible.
So the fear, obviously, in the community is that we go and say what we need, but it never goes anywhere. So this assures that there is a document, this is captured, and is really put to use.
And it will be available on the DCA website, on our website, on Facebook. We will be launching a social media platform soon, which will include a Latino Facebook page, which I will be running. But that will include the posting of these types of documents so that we understand that a lot of families may not have computers or Wi-Fi access at home, but everyone has a PDA. And so usually social media is that media unit that folks can have access to that information.
So I know there's a number of organizations that are also participating, and the Hispanic Association of Atlantic County is posting an event on Facebook, so people could sign up to go to the event. Registration isn't necessarily required for this event. You could just show up to the event.
You could show up, but we would encourage individuals to RSVP either by email to me, and we'll have that information available, and also a phone number to the office, and just leave your name and how many people you have. That way we can make sure we have enough seats for everyone.
Now, again, how long do you anticipate this event's going to last? It starts at 5 p.m., June the 18th, a lady star at the C School.
We expect about 2 hours.
2 hours?
I would say easily, just because between remarks and then the actual breakout sessions, we'll find that when folks get going, they get going. And so it leads to fruitful conversation. And folks it's an energy that feeds off of itself. So we want to give enough room for everyone to have their say.
Now, I know that within the Latino community, that's a very young Latino community, and a lot of our youth like to participate and like to be involved. Do you recommend that they also come and participate?
Absolutely. The youth has to lead the way as well. We currently, in the implementation plan, we have an area for youth development, and that definitely includes the different demographics within Atlantic City. We have gotten feedback where the youth have said that they don't feel that they're active participants in governance and in their own destiny. So we encourage that most definitely.
Now, I know you say you're working yourself out of a job. How long do you anticipate the Initiatives Project Office will be operating in Atlantic City?
Well, that's definitely above my pay grade, but under the legislation, they had initially given a 5-year term for the state to be under takeover of Atlantic City. But that could change.
Right.
And so right now, in real time, it's about 3 years out.
So we're already in 2 years in?
Yeah, we're about 2 years in.
All right, so certainly there's a lot of information here. We're hopeful to get the community out. And what message do you have for the community to come out and support this event?
I would say to be an active participant in your own solution. And, when you have these types of opportunities, it is upon all of us to voice our displeasure or our happiness. And I always say you get the government you vote for, and you also get the government you don't vote for. And so in that same vein, if you're not an active participant in your governance, then it will be told to you.
Well, I really appreciate this outreach, and certainly the fact that the Lieutenant Governor is coming to hear the Latino community here in Atlantic City is very important. So I do encourage everyone to come out and support this great event. Thank you, Rosa, for sharing this information with our audience, and thank you for joining us once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment.
Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.